Hello, welcome to Leadership Live with Anton Gunn. It is Wednesday. I'm so excited about today. Today is going to be very reflective. And when I mean reflective, I'm going to start with a question. So if you're not tuned in, if you're not paying attention, I want you to pay attention to this question. And this question is a very simple question. What will your life matter after you're no longer here? Now, this is a serious question, and the question is really around what is the lasting impact of you existing on planet Earth? What's the lasting impact of anything that you have done? Now, the reason why I say lasting impact is because today I want to talk about building a legacy. And I think it's important for every leader, no matter what level you lead, how many people you lead, or even if you're just leading yourself, that you have to find a way to leave a legacy, to leave something of substance, something of impact, something that made a difference for people long after you're gone. Now, the reason why I'm focusing on this reflective conversation today is because this week is a special week for a lot of reasons, for me personally and for the world. Number one, this week is special because it's the week that we celebrate the birth date of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It was January 15th. Dr. King was born on January 15th, don't remember the year, but we know in his short 38 years of life, 38, he left a lasting impact that we still are experiencing the benefits of every day. I know I'm experiencing the benefits of his lasting impact every day. Now, Dr. King, amazing birthday, something for us to talk about and celebrate and reflect on what his life meant. The second thing about this week that was pretty impactful and empowering to me is that I hosted my very first team retreat. So when I say team retreat, as a successful keynote speaker, I am not successful by myself. I literally could not be great as a speaker and run a business as a speaker because this is not something I just do for fun or do for free. I actually get paid to speak. That's what a professional speaker is. But to get paid to speak, it isn't just me. There's a whole team of people who do lots of things for me on a daily, weekly, monthly, regular basis to help me to be successful as a speaker. So I have a full team. And this past weekend, my team came together over MLK weekend to do our first ever retreat, a team retreat. It's around strategy, around structure, about systems, and really around just building synergy. How do you get people on the same page? So that's the second amazing thing about this week. And the third thing about this week, and really this month and this year, is celebrating the 10 years that I have been in business formally. 10 years ago this year, I incorporated a company and started speaking, advising, consulting, doing strategy work. All of the things that I get the privilege of doing every day all happened this week. So it got me to thinking about legacy. It got me thinking about lasting impact. It got me thinking about, what is the mark that we all should be striving to leave on this world in our own way? Now, you probably have heard some other speakers or authors say this thing about the dash. What is your dash? And I'm going to give it to you. Not that I've ever used this in a speech or a keynote. Maybe I did back in the day, but it's not really something that I talk about from the stage. But I want to give you a little bit of insight into the dash conversation. So when we're all dead and gone at some point, I don't care if you live 50 years or 100 years or 113 years, you will have a birth date and you will have a death date. None of us can escape death. We might cheat death for a while. We might stave it off for even further, longer. And if we live long and healthy lives, we might be here a long time. But at some point, we are going to go. So you're going to have a birth date and you will have a death date. And when you have a birth date and a death date, on that tombstone, there's going to be something else in the middle of your birth date and your death date. That thing in the middle is called the dash. See, we memorialize the birth date and we memorialize the death date. But literally, what will be our lasting impact on this earth will be, what do we do in the dash? What do we do with the dash? What lasting impact did we leave between our birth date and our death date? And I believe that as a leader, it's your responsibility to lay out what your endeavors are while you're here. Now, I've been blessed and privileged enough that I really figured out early in my life what my dash was going to be about. I didn't always know, not from the very beginning, but I did figure out what my dash was going to be about. And so for the next few minutes, I want to give you my foundations. How do you build a legacy, or how I'm building a legacy? And these are what I call my 4 pillars of leadership. 4 pillars of leadership that I am using every day in my business, every day in my life, every day when I step on stage and keynote in front of a group. I'm living these pillars, teaching these pillars. And so you're going to get a little bit of the context of what I teach when I deliver a keynote from stage at a conference, at an association event, or even inside of a company or an organization who has brought me in for a leadership meeting. I teach these principles everywhere. And you're going to hear how they're connected to some of the things that I already shared, which is the birth of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., also my company retreat, also being 10 years in business, and even the fact that this is 2024, a presidential election year. And my 4 pillars are also connected to presidents. So let's get started. And if you got a pen or a pad, it would be wise to start taking some notes at this point. If you don't have a pen or a pad, you might want to save this video. You might want to share it with somebody. Might want to try to find some way to archive this, because I'm going to give you some fundamental pillars that you can build your life of leadership around as well. I don't have to own these by myself. As a matter of fact, I would be honored if you would take these pillars and supersize them. Take these pillars and exercise them. Take these pillars and use them to have a lasting impact. I would totally be on board with that. So let's jump right in. Pillar number 1 of how you build a foundation of impact and how you build a legacy is service. Service is the word that you must start with. Now, when I say service, let me give you a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was once quoted as saying that anybody can be great because everyone can serve. The good book that we all know says the greatest amongst you will be your servant. So what am I sharing with you just very quickly? That the foundation of greatness, of what you want to be recognized for as greatness, is synonymous with the word service. That as a leader, you got to serve first before you try to do anything else. Matter of fact, one of the biggest mistakes that people make in leadership positions is that they have it reversed. They think the team is there to serve them. And that's wrong. The team is not there to serve you. Your job is to serve your team. The people are not there to serve you and wait on you hand and foot like you're some king. You're not a king. You're a person. And as a person who is committed to greatness, you must learn to serve first and lead second. That's the first pillar. See, if you master being a servant leader and a servant's heart, then you don't have to worry about arrogance. You don't have to worry about being haughty or selfish. You don't have to worry about trying to control everything or being a know-it-all. Your job is to serve people first, to meet them at what they need. Serving your people means caring about the people that you lead. So at my retreat, we spent time getting to know each other and learning what's important to each person on the team so I can understand what they care about, what they're passionate about, what motivates them, what inspires them, what pisses them off. All of these small things matter because if I know what you care about, then I know how I can better serve you. Like if you told me you didn't like eggs or you had an allergy to eggs and I served you some eggs, then I would be demonstrating that I didn't care about you. But if I cared enough about you to make sure that I never brought any eggs to your presence or I never allowed anybody else to bring eggs in your presence, then that would demonstrate that I care about you. So pillar number one is to serve. Service is the prerequisite of leadership. Now let's move on to number two. Now, if service is the prerequisite of leadership, the second one is the essence of leadership. And that pillar is empowerment. That's right, you heard me, empowerment. It's not good enough to just serve people, but the best leaders are the ones who empower their people. And what does empowerment mean? Empowerment means giving your team, the people that you lead, the tools, the information, the resources, and the opportunity to lead and determine their own destiny. That a great servant empowers people. You don't just feed people a fish, you teach them to fish. You not only teach them to fish, you teach them where to fish. You teach them what kind of rod to buy, what kind of bait to buy. And you find out, do they want freshwater fish or do they want saltwater fish? And then you show them how to get to the place to get the fish that they want. That's what empowerment is giving people what they need to succeed. Doing it in a way that they feel like they have ownership of it. And sometimes as leaders, we fail to allow people to take ownership. We build in systems and processes and double checks and triple checks. So we end up micromanaging people rather than empowering them to do their jobs, to do what they know how to do best, to do what they're skilled at. And even worse still, sometimes we think we need to do their jobs for them, which is disempowering. So the second pillar of building a legacy is empowering people. See, there's nothing greater than being able to give people the tools that they determine their own destiny and they have a lasting impact and they remember that you gave them the tools. That is the second pillar. So pillar one is service. Pillar two is empowerment. Now, pillar three is the one that most people won't necessarily easily gravitate to. But I'm telling you that I'm building my life and have built my life on this. And if you do it too, we're going to get a much better world. We're going to get a much better place to work, much better place to live in our communities. We're getting a much better planet. And that third pillar is justice. Service first, empower second, and be just third. That means do the right thing. And when you see things are wrong, do your part to make them right. Do your part to make a difference. Do your part to try to improve those things that are wrong. See, justice is the cornerstone of who I am. Why? Because I despise injustice. There's nothing more negative to me than unfairness and injustice in our society, in the workplace, or anywhere. And we have lots of unfairness. The world is unfair. We know that the world has always been unfair. How many times we see things that happen and we think, oh, that's so unfair. I'm never saying that unfairness is not ever going to exist. It's always going to exist. But when a leader encounters unfairness, when they see unfairness, when they experience unfairness, they don't let it stand. They do something to try to make it right. They do something to try to make it better. And so, for the better part of my entire adult life, I have seen things that are wrong and unfair and try to do something to make them right. Something. I've tried so many ways to improve things in the American healthcare system. I've been a community organizer, I've been an activist, I've been a lobbyist, I've been a talking head, a policy writer, a speaker, a chief diversity officer, health equity specialist. I've done all kinds of things because it's wrong that people can't live out their God given potential because they couldn't get access to a physician or prescription drugs or live in a community that was healthy. So I've done my part to try to make that right. And my legacy in that space is unquestioned at this point. I mean, you can question it, but the evidence demonstrates that I've done my part to try to improve the American healthcare system. But that's not the only place. Every day as a speaker, I help leaders build diverse, high performing teams and a world class workplace culture. And the reason why I do that is because most workplace cultures are not world class. There's plenty of unfairness and things going wrong, people getting passed over for promotions, getting mistreated by their boss, not getting the raise that they deserve, not being paid fairly and equitably. And when we see all of these things, sometimes some people get paralyzed by them. But I teach people how to do their part to make those things right, how to make them better. And let me just say real clearly, you may not be able to do everything to solve any particular circumstance or situation, but you can do something to make it right. And if you do, you will be a leader that people remember. Let me give you a Dr. King example of that. Now, in 1955, do you know how many African American men were preaching in Baptist churches in the United States of America? I would say no less than 1,000. Probably 5,000 people were preaching at churches, some church somewhere that were African American in 1955. But Dr. King was the one preacher in 1955 who got involved in the Montgomery bus boycott. He was the one preacher who began to speak in the pulpit and outside of the pulpit about what we need to do around segregation or against segregation. And so he wasn't the only preacher, but I'm telling you that there were a bunch of preachers who stayed in their pulpit on Sundays, that they saw what was wrong in terms of segregation, in terms of racism and bigotry and the Ku Klux Klan. They saw all of the same stuff that Dr. King saw. But he decided to do something to make it right. He recruited others to do something to make it right. And because of their work ethic, their actions, their commitment, their passion, the desire to make the world a better place, to do something to make it right, we are all benefiting from that today. Our civil rights leaders operated on this third pillar of justice. And we really do need more people today to operate on that third pillar. So I'm telling you right now that you got to learn how to serve first, you got to empower next, and you got to work to make justice a reality in your corner of the world. Those are three principles. Now, here's the fourth pillar. And I said principles, but they're really pillars. The fourth pillar of building a legacy is the word legacy. And what is legacy? Dr. Miles Monroe has a great quote, and the quote is, "Success without a successor is a failure." And I interpret that to mean that if you don't use your gifts and your talents and the time that you're here to leave the world a better place than you found it, you might be successful in life. Yes, you will, but you will never be significant. And the people that we remember throughout history, the people that we remember generations after generations after generations, or when they're gone, are the people who decided to be significant before they tried to be successful. I'm trying to be significant. I don't just want to be successful. I want to make a difference in this world for leaders and their organizations so they are transformed and they are better forever because they encountered me. They heard me give a speech. They attended a retreat that I led. They were in a workshop with me. They read my book. They listened to my YouTube video. They saw me on LinkedIn. They saw me on Facebook. Doesn't matter where. I want to be significant, not successful. And if you think about it, some of the greatest leaders on the planet Earth are people we still remember long after they have passed away. Let me give you a few examples. If I said the name Washington, Jefferson, Lincoln, Roosevelt, and Kennedy, 5 names, I didn't even have to give you a first name. I'm going to repeat them again. Washington, Jefferson, Lincoln, Roosevelt, Kennedy. I gave you 5 names. I'm almost certain that you can name the first name of all 5 of those people and tell me exactly what they have in common, who they were. And I'm telling you that they all left a legacy that you are currently benefiting from today. Those 5 leaders were all presidents of the United States who made decisions, implemented policies, did things that are still reverberating through our lives today as I'm talking to you right now and you're hearing the words that are coming out of my mouth. Legacy, lasting impact from those leaders. They're not the only ones. There are many other people who have had legacy, lasting impacts. So I want you to focus on being significant rather than being successful. If you do that, those 4 pillars can be the cornerstone to make your dash significant, to allow you to build a legacy that long after you're gone from this earth, that people still remember what good you did, what positive influence you had on their lives, and that they will continue on living, modeling the behaviors that you share. So there you have it. Anton's legacy principles, his leadership principles of how to build a legacy. And number 1 is service. Number 2 is empowerment. Number 3 is justice. And number 4 is significance. Significance through legacy. So there you have it. I hope this added value to you. If so, then please, please, please share this, like, comment, subscribe, follow, do all of those things that people do, because every week I'm going to give you this kind of content. And if you would like for me to come and deliver a message like this to your team or your organization, please make sure you send me a DM ASAP, because we're booking our schedule for 2024. I would love to be a part of an event where you attend Your organization is there, and I'm able to add value the way I'm adding value today. So I want to thank you for watching. See you all next Wednesday. Make it a great day. Make it a great week. And I'll talk to you soon. Take care.